Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your money quietly betrayed you. Not in a dramatic crash, not in a stock market collapse, but silently, penny by penny, month by month, until the life you thought you could afford simply vanished. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Inflation is not just rising prices. It's something far more engineered, far more permanent, and far more dangerous. So here's the question nobody dares to ask. What if inflation isn't a glitch in the system, but the system itself? To understand why inflation feels worse than ever, we have to go back. Not to 2008, not even to the 1970s, but to a quiet day in 1971, when the world's largest economy made the most important financial decision in history. When the dollar was unchained from gold, the world shifted from a system of value-backed money to a system backed by nothing but trust. Governments told us this was progress. But here's a stat they didn't mention. In the 50 years since, the dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. That means the dollar your grandparents used isn't the dollar you use. It just carries the same name. Inflation didn't happen to us. It was built into the architecture. Here's how the system really works. Imagine a bucket with a tiny hole at the bottom. That hole is inflation. You don't notice it at first, but over time, the bucket always empties. Now imagine you're forced to keep filling that bucket every day, just to stay in the same place. That's modern life. Wages versus inflation is a treadmill with no finish line. But the hole keeps getting bigger. Why? Because governments rely on inflation the way cars rely on petrol. It fuels everything. Debt repayment, budget expansion, economic growth on paper. This isn't an accident. It's a feature of a debt-based monetary system. And here's the part nobody explains. Inflation doesn't rise equally for everyone. Luxury goods rise slowly, assets rise fast, essential survival items rise fastest. That's why millionaires feel inflation, but the poor drown in it. Inflation is not a number. It's a pressure, and that pressure always pushes down on the same people. But something changed. The slow leak in the bucket became a waterfall. For decades, inflation rose gradually, predictably, quietly. Then came 2020, the largest money printing event in human history. In a single year, the US created 20% of all dollars ever printed. And the rest of the world followed. When you increase money supply at that scale, prices don't rise. They detonate. Housing doubled in some cities. Groceries jumped 30 to 70%. Savings accounts became museum pieces. And wage growth barely moved. This wasn't inflation. This was a controlled demolition of purchasing power. And now, we're living in the aftershock. The consequences? They're everywhere. People working 2 jobs and still falling behind. Young adults giving up on homes, families, or stability. Retirees returning to work because their pensions can't keep up. Countries drowning in debt. Currencies evaporating in slow motion. And corporations using inflation as camouflage to raise prices even higher. Inflation didn't just make life expensive. It reshaped society. It created a world where saving is punished, debt is rewarded, and stability is a luxury. Here's the truth you were never supposed to learn. You don't live in an economy designed to help you build wealth. You live in an economy designed to make sure money keeps flowing. Upward, always upward. Inflation is not a thief that sneaks in at night. It's a system that takes a little from you every single day. And the real question is, are we prepared for what happens when people finally understand that? Tell me in the comments. Do you think inflation is a crisis or a design?